Hello and welcome back to another video from Beejom. This episode, I want to talk to you about why we shifted to where we are today. Everybody asks us why we shifted from our old farm. They miss our old farm because it was closer and they want us back there. And we get a lot of people writing to us about this and expressing this. And so we thought it's really important for us to share with you why we moved and where we've moved. This is what this video is going to be all about, and I really thought it's important to bring to the table finally where we are and why. As you already know, when we started, the old farm where we started was just a barren patch of land. Not only was it barren, it was also the most infertile piece of land near the Yamuna, which everybody knows is a polluted river. With AQIs at 800 in some parts of the year, people truly questioned why we were there. From there, we've reached the stage today of people asking us why we weren't there, why we aren't there, and why we've come here. So, when we started out, we inherited this really bad patch of land, and with it, our learning started. We learned how to grow soil, we learned how to grow seeds, we learned how to improve our crops, we learned how to grow so many types of crops, we learned how to raise animals. So for me, that was Beejom's kindergarten or play school, where we really actually learnt what we do today. We spent the first 3 years not with any idea of making this kind of a setup or a farm, but the idea was only to learn. We didn't know where it was going. When I say we, Beejom has always been about a few of us, a group of us. That group has over the years from a small group become a larger group, but it has always been a group. It has never been only me. So even in our first year, we had about 5 or 6 people on the farm, and that was we. And today we are about 70 people, and now today is we. So it is always about community, whether it's smaller or larger. And there at Beejom, the first 3 years, we learnt everything. We experimented with so many types of crops and so many types of fertilizers, so many ways of growing, so many failures. And finally, when we felt we knew a little bit and actually had grown into a project, we suddenly realized the potential of how it could become something bigger, and how we could improve the narrative, how we could bring a dialogue to the field, how we could integrate rural and urban people. And we also found people were so interested in us. They loved coming and meeting our animals. They loved the children loved to be there. So gradually the idea of Beejom organically grew. So I owe it completely to our old farm in Noida, because that's where Beejom really was born. But after a few years, we began to feel the difficulty of being there. There were actually many difficulties being in the other farm. There was absolutely no electricity. So I would often joke that we are truly off the grid, right in the middle of the city. We were in the city but had no power. And so our entire farm ran on solar, lanterns and a genset, each used interchangeably whenever the situation arose. Even the fans in our Baitak were DC fans. So we used to call them office fans. They would come alive at 9 in the morning and shut down at 5 in the evening. And that was the time for us to call it a day too, because there was no more light. If a calf was born in the middle of the night, it had to be in the light of a lantern. We were so primitive. The team, hats off to them. They lived their 10 years without a fan, with no light post 6 p.m. in complete darkness, with so many snakes and monitor lizards and scorpions. We had no pakka structures there. They were just small shacks, and they were very vulnerable. There were no walls to our farm. So we led a very, very rustic and vulnerable life in Noida, even though we were in the city. Our costs were high, because we had to use the generator for many things, since there was no power. So in a lot of ways, because this project was not conceived as it is now on day one, and it organically grew, we incurred a lot of losses even though we were growing. We were growing beautifully, but there was a lot of expense there. So coming here has been in those terms a relief. Also, it wasn't our land, so we could not build, and we were near the Yamuna. So legally, and because it was not our land, we could not build any permanent structures there. So it was also a lot of running cost. Every Andhi, all our shacks will fall, and we'll have to buy bamboo and wood and sheets to replace everything almost every year. The fear of the Yamuna rising and flooding our land was real for all 10 years. Every time the Yamuna rose during the monsoon, we would have to pilot the banks with sandbags. The whole night I'll be calling the farm and asking if the water has come up. But miraculously, for 10 whole years, nothing happened. 11th year, our luck ran out, and that's how we got flooded. So I think the old farm, while it was our playground, while it's where we learnt everything, we built a beautiful community, we built a brand, we also built a huge number of family, like I called it the Beejom family, who even today reach out to us all the time. Yet we were quite relieved to get out of there when we did. The flood was just it pushed us out of that land, because by then we were ready. About 4 years before the floods happened, we bought some land in Bulandshahr, and we started growing a food forest there. But while that food forest was growing, we realized we need more land, because we need to bring in the whole Beejom team here with the animals. We were scouting for land next to the food forest, and we couldn't find any. Finally, the land we wanted, we could afford, and which was exactly according to the specs we wanted, we found 20 minutes away, and that is today the Beejom Sanctuary. So just before we got flooded, about 6 months before, we bought that land, we walled it, put the transformer and everything, and then we got flooded. But we had a land ready to move into. So the old land, or the old farm as we now call it, we can never forget. It may not have been ours on paper, but it was ours in spirit. And leaving it was actually quite heartbreaking. What is interesting for you to know is that even half of the land we grew on now doesn't exist. When that flood came, it not only made us move out, it also took away half the land. The river cut away half the land back into it. And I remember a beautiful conversation I had with the owner of that land. I was walking with him along the Yamuna, and we were just after the floods, and we were leaving, and truly we didn't realize how much we had grown to mean to them, because that whole community was quite heartbroken to see us go. A lot of them expressed a lot of sadness, and they said, how we now can't imagine this place without you. So the landowner was a village pradhan, he's an elderly man, and when he and I were walking along, I said, I'm so sorry for you. This land has been cut off and it's gone away into the river. It must have been a huge loss for him, because it was a very expensive piece of land in terms of cost. He calmly looked at the Yamuna, and he said, years and years ago, we got this land because there was a flood, and that's how we became landowners. Now the river decided to just take it back. It's just nature. So I was so moved by the philosophy. I was so moved by what he said, and the way he had accepted the impermanence of things. So for me, it became so much more easier to let go of that land and come here. I always remember Kabir. Whenever he says the land is never ours, we belong to the land. So today we are in this new space, and this new space has been enormously beneficial for us. We do have a power connection, we have solar, and we also are trying to use biogas and other means of energy to reduce our consumption of outside resources as much as possible. But the fact that we have electricity, it does mean a lot, because especially for our farm people at night, our animal care, it really means to have some power. That apart, today we have a very beautiful building. I always get reminded of the Three Little Pigs story. Now nobody can huff and puff and blow us away. It used to happen to us every season in the other farm. So it's nice to be able to have a permanent structure. It's nice for our boys on the farm, our people on the farm, our women on the farm to be in a safer place. We do have a lot of snakes here, but at least they aren't falling on our head. So it's a big difference. And now we are already such a family We've just upgraded ourselves and we've got a dining room, we have lovely spaces to host people. Also, I used to always feel bad because while Beejom was growing, so many queries we would get from everywhere, even across the world, saying, can we come and stay with you? Can we live on your farm and do this? Even I couldn't live on the farm because there was no permanent, there was nothing there, there was no structure. So I am very pleased about the new farm, mostly because now we have a residential space. It's not just that the space has become better for us, for the animals. Also the fact that we can host residential workshops, we can bring in people, we ourselves live here a lot as a community, and it's growing as a beautiful small eco-village, like a kind of community, and for that I am really, really grateful. So it's been a very long and yet short journey. When I say 11 years, it feels, has it been only 11 years? Because it feels like 100 years. And in 11 years, a lot has happened. We've all seen a lot. We've all grown up. Everybody on the farm has memories of each other from a very long time now. And truly, it's a beautiful community space that's evolving. And I'm so grateful. Everybody asks me why we moved here. It's really far. It's 70 kilometers from Connaught Place, but it's also not so far because we come here every day from Delhi. So it took us a while to explain to people why we moved. I, for one, was always sure. I must have been about 25 or 26 years old when I went to Kuchesar Mud Fort for a holiday. And when I stood on that balcony and I saw these lush green fields outside, for some reason I stood there and said, if I could ever do some agriculture or have a farm, it should be here. So this kind of had stuck in my head. And the more I researched about this place, the more I was convinced that this is the region to do agriculture in. Why? Simply because my research told me this is the Doab. It's between the Ganga and the Yamuna. It's beautiful flat plains, great agricultural lands and alluvial soil, water at 35 feet. The generations and generations of farmers have grown food here. And the weather is from 0 to 45 degrees. You can grow about easily 150 to 100 crops here. Ample sunlight. You can see how blue the sky is. The AQI is very, very good, even though we are only 1.5 hours from the city. So I was totally convinced. But yes, I did worry. I worried, what will people do? Will they come? Will they come and see us here? Will they meet us here? Will they come so far? But there was no choice. If we had to farm, we had to be in a village. If we had to farm, we had to be in arable land with such good conditions. This is the place to grow food, where we can grow paddy without any guilt, where we can grow millets amply, where wheat grows beautifully in winter. I couldn't have had it better. So that's how we took the decision to move. Finding the land was a bigger issue because in today's world, in agricultural world, lands are hugely fragmented. There is a lot of dispute in families. So to find a clean title and a larger piece of land with no legal issues and the kind of deal we wanted, everything had to be correct. And the kind of conditions this farm had, it was perfect. So to find the land actually took us 6 years. In the middle, we faced many harrowing and funny incidents. For me, this area was also new. I am from the south. So Western UP was a completely different space. I didn't understand a lot of their riwas or their culture. And it took me a while to understand how things work here. I remember once I walked into a farmer's house and just sat in his drawing room. He goes aghast. He looked at me and said, please get up, go inside, go to the ladies. You can't sit in the hall with all the men. That was a first for me. And I said, I'm sorry, and I went inside and sat down. Then after a while, he realized that only I could have answered the questions he wanted to ask me. and he had lots of queries about what we grow, how we grow it, what we do with it. So he had to call me back from inside, back into the living room to tell him what we do. So it was for him a defining moment. We've become good friends since, and he's also realized that to talk to me, he has to talk to me in the same room on an equal footing. So for me also it was a revelation that culturally it could be sensitive. There are different ways people work here, and so it's been an education. I also once, we went to buy some land, and there was that land had an ancestral stone. I thought that was a bench, and just when the deal was going to be struck, I went and sat on it. That's when the deal got completely cut, because he was so offended that I went and sat on his ancestral stone. So after many such hits and misses, we finally found this piece of beautiful land. It's Beejom is at the moment on 15 acres of absolutely beautiful land, half of which is at the Sherry Orchard. It has about 180 trees, the cherry trees. The rest of the land is an open field, and that's where the buildings, the vegetable patches, the animal shelters, many things came up. We decided to keep the small animal shelters under the trees, the large animal shelters. We dedicated 4 acres just for the cattle, and we have left a lot of social space for them to socialize and move around. We also have a temple. Behind me is the stable, as you can see, and and a lot of work is going on, because 15 acres is a very large piece of land, and we've only been here 3 years. So I'm very glad we moved. It took us a long time to find the ideal piece of land which fitted our requirements, and we are here, and it's home today, and it's beautiful because we're no longer worrying about AQI, we are not worrying about bad soil, we are not worrying about bad water. It's just wonderful, and now it's this next phase of Beejom where we want to create this into a better and better space, and that's what's going on here. The animals were brought here when there was nothing. There were no cow sheds, there were no shelters. We just brought tarpaulins and some bamboos and everything from the nearest town, and we just set up these rustic tents kind of places, and it was under the trees fortunately, and winter was approaching. It was really hard for them and for us, and they have these troughs which they eat from. They didn't have that, so they were being fed on the ground, and they were not used to that. This is Basanti. She's been with us from year 1, and she's never eaten without these kind of troughs, and so for all of them it was traumatic. They drastically lost weight in those 2-3 months. They were not happy, but they were safe. They were rescued from the floods. We tied them all under the trees, and we have a lot of cattle, and so giving them all fodder, managing that each of them get their nutrition, doing their veterinary care, everything was a challenge. And then as that was going on, we started building our cow sheds. That was also a task, because by then it was winter, shorter days, monsoon was still going on when we brought them here. So amidst all that, this started being made. It took us almost a year. We began with the large animal sheds. The small animals we could still manage. The priority were the horses and the cattle. So we have the Gaushala and we had the Nandishala, and we left an area between both these places for the Dungho project and processing unit and all. So in the middle of all this, we were designing, we were planning, we were drawing, we were managing construction. It was a lot. And I think that 2 years, I don't know how it went, it seems like a blur. And this was also immediately after COVID. So for us, it was almost like COVID stretched for 5 years. It wasn't almost just COVID, it was the floods too. So anyway, now we are finished with all that. We brought them here. Today, they are back. They are very happy. They've all put on weight and become normal again. And they get to a lot of socialization space here, which we didn't have in the earlier farm. These cow sheds are much better constructed than even our earlier cow sheds. And very interestingly, we used a lot of our old cow shed loha or iron in building these. So we did a lot of upcycling, recycling. We actually spent a lot of money cutting off those irons, so that we don't have to buy new irons. It also saved us money. And that's how all these were made. Now the cows are here, the bulls are there, it's all done. So, and thereafter we started building the small animal shelters. For the small animal shelters, we use the land under the orchard because it's a lot of shade. It protects small animals from the intense summer heat of the northern plains. So, those are also done. So, that's where we are today. Our animals are home, they are sound, they are safe. So, what has changed for us and what has changed for the community, what has changed for me, everything is different. This is a completely magical space. This is a dream. We never imagined this will happen. When we got the land, I knew what I wanted. I thought we should have a community as we always have envisioned. Like I already said, we didn't have even a boundary in the other land. We had no pakka construction. They were just odd shacks, disconnected shacks. It had its own charm, its own beauty, and that was our home until we outgrew it. So now today this is our home. The fact that we have one building that contains everything. We have a veterinary clinic, we have a conference room, we have our dining room, we have rooms to stay, we have a lovely central courtyard where we all gather. So it's been wonderful. I think for the community, it has brought us together. It has given us a home, one home under which we all live. It has given us one dining space. The kitchen was always common, but it has brought us together closer and more into a unit. For me, it's really magical. I mean, it's given me so much more opportunity to slowly kind of build the vision that is growing. It's not like we had a fixed vision. The vision grows along with how the project has grown. Today, the vision looks clearer, the goals look much clearer. We are able to invite groups. Already we have started having a lot of groups coming over, a lot of people coming for various things. We have our own melas, which we never could because we were in a very different kind of space. And even though it's far, I think it's been totally worth it just because of all the facilities we have now. We are able to live stream stuff. We are able to do so many things from here. So and we're also trying to develop things like an organic farming library, natural farming library, spaces like this where we are able to host people safely, happily. So very, very grateful. This new space is very promising and we have already been able to do a lot. So it's been fabulous and let's see where the next 5 years take us. I am never sure. So we are far away because the soil is better, the water is better, the air is better, we are close to the village, we are close to nature and far away from the madding crowd, yet close enough for you to come. Bulandshahr is not on the tourist map. It's not Mathura, it's not Agra, it's not Nainital. Therefore, people think it's very far away. It's not Gurgaon. But in fact, travel time to Bulandshahr from Delhi is lesser than travel time from central Delhi to anywhere else around NCR. Many reasons for that. This is on the highway that leads to Uttarakhand, that leads to Corbett, and that highway is beautiful. The roads up to the farm are great. So travel time takes much lesser than it takes to other parts from Delhi. So we come here every day. It takes us exactly 1 hour 15 minutes from the central Delhi to Bulandshahr. From Noida also it takes 1 hour 15 minutes simply because you have to cross Noida and come out of Noida to the national highway. So don't hesitate to come because those who have come have realized it's not so bad after all. And it's more a mindset that you're going into rural heartland. But in terms of distance, it's absolutely fine. So please come if you want to get away from the city and see how food is grown, in the way it is grown, in the place where it should be grown, 20 minutes from the Ganga, I think you need to come here and you need to experience this little slice of paradise that we've painstakingly put together after many, many years of hard work. So if you like this video, if you love Beejom, and if you love the work we do, please keep watching out for more of these videos. Please like, share, subscribe to all that we do. Go to our Facebook page, go to our Insta page. We have a YouTube channel. Please do share along. We love our work to be shared along. We want people to come. Thank you so much.